Good morning students. At standard third chapter name is humidity and the clouds. That means in this chapter today we are going to learn about the humidity. What is the humidity and what is the cloud? Here is a given one activity. That means can you tell? Look at this picture showing figure 3.1 and discuss the weathering condition shown this picture in the classes or write the description in the boxes below. That means this discussion showing which condition or the which condition weathering condition this is a write in your textbook. That means here is a given explanation of this activity. First I will read. Generally we keep talking about the weather conditions. That means these all pictures showing the weather condition. That means in which area, what type of the weather. This is depend upon this type of clothes and lifestyle of these people. That means we can identify the weather condition through these conversations above. We experienced the dampness or dryness in the air through the year, the change occurring in the weather condition in desert areas, coastal areas and mountain areas are evidence from the figure. That means here is a given different weathering condition in the desert areas, then coastal areas and the mountain areas. In the first, Rajasthan lies in the region with the dry and hot airs. That means this is the Rajasthan is the desert area. In this region with the dry and hot airs. That means which type of weather there is a hot and dry airs. There are hardly any moisture in this air. People wear loose cotton clothes. That means there are the very hot and dry airs. There hardly any moisture in this air. That means there is a hardly moisture in this air. So there people is used or these people wearing loose cotton clothes. That means these peoples, which people is living in these areas. That means Rajasthan or the desert areas. These peoples wear the cotton clothes, loose cotton clothes. Then second, Kashmir Valley. That means this is the desert area. Rajasthan is a desert area. Second is the Kashmir. That means this is the coastal. This is the mountain areas. The Kashmir valleys lies in the region with the cold and dry air. That means in the Kashmir, which type of air? This cold and dry airs lies to region with the cold and dry air. Moisture is minimal in this air. That means in this moisture in this air is minimal. People cover themselves with a warm clothes, and in these people living in these areas, people used the warm clothes. Then third in the Mumbai. That means Mumbai is the coastal area. The air is hot and humid. That means the air is the hot. You know very well. You listen about this or experience of this place. That means in the Mumbai the air is hot and humid. That means in these areas air is hot and humid. There the proportions of the moisture is very high in the air. That means the moisture in this air is high. In addition, the dark clouds cover the sky and contain the moisture in the air increases. That means this dark cloud is covered with the sky. That means dark cloud is more than in the sky. The content of moisture in this air is increases, and this content of the moisture is air increases. That means moisture capacity of in this area is increases or more. Then next, in the above discussion, the word hot, the moist, the cool, etc. show the condition of the air. That means this word in these discussions many word is used. That means the hot, moisture, cool, etc. This shows condition of the air. That means these all words showing the condition of air. Moisture in the air is invisible. That means moisture in the air is the invisible. Then but it is the major component of the air. That means moisture is invisible, but this is the important factor or important component for the air is taken into the consideration while discussing the weather of the any place. That means we decided we find the weather of the any place. There are the moisture is the important factor on these. For the precipitations to occur in any place, presence of moisture in the air is a very important. That means not only weathering of any place, but the precipitation of the any place or occurs precipitation is occurs. The moisture is the so important factor on this on the important factor for this two condition or the two condition. That means the consideration that means the they consideration weather of the any place and for the precipitations. Think about it. Second point is the evaporation. Second point is the evaporation. Evaporations. Evaporation in the process of the converting water into steam or the water vapor. You know, in your science subject, evaporations means the water is converted into steam or the water vapor. That means the water is when the we boil the water, at that time this boiled water evaporate or this water vapor is created. That means the evaporated, the process of converting water into steam or the water vapor. That means the evaporation is the process of converting water into water vapor or steam. That means we boil the water, at that time the vapor is created. That means water is converted into the vapor. Because of this sun's heats, the water on the earth get converted into water vapor. That means any place or the any type of water with sun's heats. That means sun's heats the water on the earth get converted into the water vapor. That means any place. That means एखाद्या ठिकाणी जर वॉटर असेल, त्या वॉटरच्या सनरेज मुळे किंवा सनच्या हीट मुळे जर वॉटर कन्वर्टेड कशामध्ये होत असेल, वॉटर वेपर मध्ये होत असेल, तर ती कंडिशन काय म्हटली जाते, वॉटर वेपर अशी म्हटली जाते. Converted into water vapor, this process of evaporation is dependent on the dryness, temperature and the speed of winds. That means this condition, that means the evaporation is dependent on the three factors. Which factors? The dryness, temperature and the speed of winds. That means this is the dependent on the dryness, temperature and the speed of the winds. You understand what is the definition of evaporation? That means the water is converted into steam or the water vapor. This is known as the evaporation. And which components are so important for the evaporations? Which components is important or the evaporation is dependent on to which factors? Dryness, temperature and the speed of the winds. If the air is the dry and hot, the rate of the evaporation increase. That means at that time the air is a dry or hot. That means the air is a dry and hot. At that time the rate of evaporation is the increase. म्हणजे जर एअर कशी असेल, ड्राय आणि हॉट असेल, तर त्यात वेळेला काय होतं, इव्हॅपोरेशनचा रेट काय असतो, इन्क्रीज असतो. म्हणजे तो काय असतो, मोर असतो. द प्रोसेस ऑफ इव्हॅपोरेशन continues even in dry and cold years. That means the evaporation continues even the which type of years, dry and cold years. On the other hand, evaporation occurs very slowly in the moist air. That means evaporation कुठल्या कंडिशनला स्लो होतं तर moist air. If the velocity and temperature of the air is high, the evaporation occurs rapidly. That means at that time velocity is high and temperature is high. At that time the capacity of evaporation at that time is more or rapidly. If the wind is blowing slowly and the air is cooler, then evaporation occurs slowly. That means at that time the wind the wind is blowing slowly. That means winds काय जातं slowly blowing होतो किंवा the air is cooler. That means air is cooler. At that time the evaporation is occurs slowly. You understand? The velocity and the temperature is high. At that time the evaporation is rapidly or increases and the winds blowing is slowly and the cooler air is cooler. At that time the evaporation is low or slowly. Use your brain power. These two questions solve in your notebook. Then second point is the humidity in the air. The proportions of the water vapor in the air is called as humidities. That means water vaporचं जे प्रमाण असतं किंवा जे वातावरणातली वॉटर वेपर्स असते इन द एअर्स त्याला काय म्हटलं जातं कॉल्ड ॲज द ह्युमिडिटी. द ड्रायनेस अँड द डॅमनेस of the air dependent on the proportion of the water vapor. That means the dryness and dampness. Dampness of their air dependent of the dryness is dependent on the proportion of the water vapor. That means this is dependent on the water vapor. Air can be hold a moisture in the specific quantity at the specific temperature only. As air cool down, the moisture holding capacity reduced. That means air can be hold a moisture in a specific quantity or specific temperature only. That means particular or specific moisture or the specific temperature only. As air cools down, that त्यावेळेला काय होते एअर्स काय होते कूल डाउन्स होते. इट्स moisture holding capacity reduced आणि त्यावेळेला काय होते moisture capacity reduced होते. This implies that warmer air can be hold more moisture than the cold air. That means warmer capacity of the warmer air is more can be more than moisture than the cold airs. म्हणजे warmer air ची capacity कशी असते जास्त असते moisture पकडून ठेवण्याची. As a certain temperature the moisture holding capacity of air become equal. That means as a certain temperature, that means any certain temperature the moisture holding capacity of air become equal. That means the certain temperature the moisture holding capacity of air become equal to the proportions of the moisture present in this condition. This is called as the saturations of the airs. That means saturations of over. This is known as the saturation of the air. That means as a certain temperature the moisture holding capacity of air become equal. म्हणजे certain temperature ला काय होतं the moisture holding capacity कशी असते becoming equal to the proportions of the moisture present in it. त्यामध्ये काय असतात moisture काय असतात present असतात. This condition of this air is called as this condition is also known as the saturations of the airs. You understand? That means in the first point or in the first point evaporation, you very well understand what is the definition of evaporation. That means the water is converted into water vapor. This process is known as the water vapor. And you will understand which components are dependent on the very important from the evaporations and which condition evaporation is greater and which condition is the evaporation is lesser. Then the second point is the humidity in the air. What is the humidity holding capacity and the saturation of the air. These two definitions are so important in this point. You understand these 2 points? These points are the so important. That means the moisture holding capacity, humidity in the air. How to find the humidity in the air, and this the moisture holding capacity and the saturation of the air. Thank you.